So um, the directions will probably say something like simplify. It could say something like perform the indicated operations. It could even say add or subtract. Okay. So the first one you all know the answer to. For example, number one, what if I had 2x plus 3x? How would you simplify that expression? 5x. Now why were you able to write the sum as 5 times x? All right, very good. That phrase, combine like terms, those were like terms. So these right here are like terms. 2x and 3x are like terms, so I can combine them. I have 2x's, have 3x's, together have how many x's? 5. Okay, number 2. So as I had 2 square root of 5, now we're talking about radicals. So that's where we bring all this into radicals now. 2 square root of 5 plus 3 square root of 5. Are those like terms? Yeah, you can treat them just like either the variables right here. I have, how many square root of 5s do I have here? 2. How many square root of 5s do I have here? Altogether, how many do I have? 5 square root of 5s. All right, so those were like terms. Number 3, suppose I had 2 square root of 5 plus 3 square root of 6. Can I combine those? No, those are not like terms. These are not like terms. So with regards to radicals, in order for them to be like terms, they have to have the same index, which they do. They're all what? What's my index in both of them? 2. But they also must have the same radicand. Do they have the same radicand? No, one's 5, the other one is 6. So I cannot combine them. So you can't do anything with this. Okay? Number 4. So this right here you would say can't be simplified. Number 4. Now listen carefully. Number 4. What if I had 2x squared root of 5 plus 3 squared root of 5? 2x squared root of 5 plus 3 squared root of 5. Are those like terms? That's a little bit difficult to kind of figure out if you're not sure about it. Are those like terms?
Yes. They have the same radicand.
They have the same radicand, but what's different between the two though? One has a variable x in it, the other one doesn't. So it's kind of like when we did this one had an x. In order for this one to be like terms, this has to have what also? X. Here, this has a radical 5. This also must also have a what? Radical 5. Okay, so let's talk about this. This has a radical 5. This must have a what? Radical 5. This has an x. This must have what? An x. So are those like terms? No, they're not like terms. Okay? So it's kind of like saying, how many x squared root of 5s do I have here? 2. How many x squared root of 5s do I have here? None. There's no x here. Okay, so these are not like terms.
So we cannot say 6x times radical of 5.
Because that's not multiplication. That's addition. We haven't done multiplication yet. All right, so not like terms, so you cannot simplify. Number 5. All right, now what if I had this though? What if I had 2x squared root of 5 plus 3x squared root of 5? Now are those like terms? Yes. They have the same variables raised to the same power. They're both x being raised to the first, and they have the same radicals. So how many x squared root of 5s do you have all together? 5 of them. So it's 5x square root of 5. Okay? All right, number 6. 5 square root of 7 minus 12 square root of 7. What is that? Right, so those are like terms, so that'd be negative 7 square root of 7. Y'all agree? Okay, negative 7 square root of 7. Number 7. Suppose I had negative 3 square root of 6 minus 5 square root of 24. Negative 3 square root of 6 minus 5 square root of 24. So you're saying that you would say that that would be your answer. You can't do anything to it. Simplify square root of 24. So you got to check. You got to use what you've learned. So didn't you learn anything about simplifying radicals? Yeah. So now you're adding them, but they may not be simplified to its final form. See, all the others were easy because those were already simplified. I mean, not simplified, but they could be simplified, right? Square root of 5, square root of 6, square root of 5, square root of 5, and so on. But here I can simplify the square root of 24. So I'm going to go off to the side. I'm going to ask you what perfect square goes into 24 besides 1?
4 and 6.
4. So that's 4 times 6, and the square root of 4. 2. So now this becomes negative 3 square root of 6 minus 5 times what? 2 square root of 6. Now you got to multiply the 5 into 2 though. So this becomes negative 3 square root of 6 minus 10 square root of 6. Now can I combine those? Yeah. So what's the answer? Negative 13 square root of 6. So you see, you have to use knowledge you already have. So I can simplify radicals. So let's use it. So I can simplify that original problem. I can simplify to negative 13 square root of 6. All right, let's look at number 8. Number 8. I have 2 square root of 6 minus 5 square root of 54. Is there any of those I can simplify? Which one? Square root of 54. So I'm going to go off to the side. I'm going to figure out what the square root of 54 is. What perfect square goes into 54? That's 9 times 6. What's the square root of 9? That's 3 square root of 6. So I'm going to come back right here. Now I'm going to rewrite this. That's 2 square root of 6 minus 5 times 3 square root of 6. Go further with it because you know 5 times 3 is what? So that's 2 square root of 6 minus 15 square root of 6. And so how many square root of 6s do I have? Negative 13. Okay, we're almost done. Just bear with me a few more minutes. Number 9. 2 square root of 24 plus the square root of 96 minus square root of 6. 2 square root of 24 plus the square root of 96 minus square root of 6. All right, can I simplify? Don't say they're not like terms because you haven't simplified all the way yet. So let's talk about the square root of 24. So that's the square root of 4 times 6?
Yes.
And the square root of 4 is 2, so that's 2 square root of 6. So that's 2 times 2 square root of 6, right? All right, let's talk about 96. I think we've already done 96, but let's do it again. The square root of 96, what perfect square goes into 96? Huh? What perfect square goes into 96? Use your calculator if you need to. Check those divisors. 48 is not a perfect square. 12 is not a perfect square. You got to use perfect squares, guys.
16.
16. 16 times what is 96? All right. So the square is 16 times 6. And what's the square is 16? So that's 4 squared is 6. So that's plus 4 squared is 6. And then minus what? Square root of 6. Can I simplify that square root of 6 on the end? No. Now, notice this right here is 4, right? 4 squared is 6. So you have 4 squared is 6 plus 4 squared is 6, which is how many? 8 squared is 6. You're subtracting square root of 6. So how many do you have left? Not 8 squared is 6. You have 4 plus 4 is 8. Subtract us 1 squared is 6. What are you left with? 7 squared is 6. All right, let's do one more, and then I'll give you back your test. I got to do this because it's on that worksheet, but it won't take us long because we've already done some of the simplifying of those anyway. All right, so how many terms do you see? 4. Don't automatically say they're not like terms because we haven't simplified them. Now, the way they look, they're not like terms, you're right. But if you simplify them, you're going to see that you can make them like terms. Square root of 63. I think we already done it, did we? No, I don't see it anywhere. What perfect square goes into 63? 9 and 7. All right, so 9 times 7. What's the square root of 9? So that's 3 squared is 7, right? I'm trying to go through this quick, which just bear with me. So that's 4 times 3 squared is 7, right? Which really is 12 squared is 7. Y'all agree? Okay. Let's go about 28. What perfect square goes into 28? 4. So that's 4 times 7. What's the square root of 4? So that's 2 squared is 7. So this is 3 times 2 squared is 7, which is really what? 6 squared is 7. 54, I've already done, it's right here. So square root of 54 is what? 3 squared is 6. And then 90, that's 96, by the way. 96 already done, what is it? 4 squared is 6. We're almost done. So have I simplified every term as far as I can go? Yes. Are there any like terms? Yes. First 2 and last 2. So it's 12 squared is 7 plus 6 squared is 7. Okay, good. What's 3 squared is 6 minus 4 squared is 6? Minus squared is 6. There's your answer. Okay? All right. Any questions? All right. So that's the end of that part.